Do plants actually speak? I know, it's a huge, almost unsettling question, right? We look at all the greenery around us, the massive forests, our backyard gardens, or even just that little potted plant sitting on your desk, and we just see static, silent life. We kind of assume they're just biological background noise. But what if there's this entire world of communication happening right in front of us, just waiting for us to tune in? Well, today's explainer takes us through a seriously fascinating account from our source material about one guy who believed we absolutely can communicate with the natural world, and he actually set out to prove it in the most dramatic way you could possibly imagine.
So let's dive right into the plant whisper, Luther Burbank's unprecedented experiment. According to the accounts in our source text, about 20 years ago in America, there was this highly renowned botanist named Luther Burbank. Now, this was a guy who didn't just study botany from some safe academic distance. He completely immersed himself in it. He spent his entire life living and working as closely as physically possible with plants. And because of that massive lifelong dedication, he eventually came to a conclusion he just had to share. One day, he actually gathered his friends and told them, "There is something I want to share with you. Plants can speak."
Now, there's a stark, honestly almost comical contrast between this man of science and his peers. On one side, you have Burbank with this radical, rock-solid belief that plants understand us and that we can communicate directly with them. But on the flip side, his friends were totally shocked. They didn't just casually disagree with him. They literally laughed right in his face. They basically asked him if all that time isolated in his research had finally driven him completely crazy. But they didn't just leave it at a joke. They laid down a direct challenge. If your mind is perfectly fine, then prove it to us. They demanded hard evidence, saying that was the only way they'd ever believe a single word he was saying.
Section 1. The Unprecedented Experiment. A test totally unique in human history.
So, Burbank, armed with his deep conviction, doesn't back down. He takes their challenge head-on. He decides he's going to run an experiment to prove his sanity and really validate his life's work. And to do this, he didn't pick an easy, compliant little houseplant. No, he chose a wild desert cactus. He brought this tough, wild plant straight out of the harsh desert environment directly into his daily care. This was a super calculated move. He intentionally picked the subject that was as far removed from a delicate, easily influenced flower as you could possibly get. He wanted the absolute toughest subject out there. The stakes for this experiment were incredibly high. This specific type of desert cactus was notoriously covered in sharp, dangerous thorns. I mean, it's their natural, evolutionary defense mechanism against a hostile world, right? Plus, the source highlights a critical botanical fact here. There was absolutely no known species of this specific cactus that could ever grow without thorns. It just didn't happen in nature, period. So what was his big scientific methodology? Well, it wasn't chemical fertilizers, it wasn't genetic splicing or grafting. Every single morning and every single evening, Burbank would just sit quietly by the cactus and ask it, "My friend, does my voice reach you? Can you feel my love?" He built this incredibly intimate, deeply emotional routine. He was treating this wild, thorny cactus not like a lab specimen, but as a living, feeling companion.
Section 2. The Cost of Belief. A Society's Rejection.
Look, when you challenge the fundamental understanding of the world around you, especially in such a bizarre way, there's almost always a heavy price to pay. And for Burbank, the rejection compounded fast. Within mere days of starting this routine, his friends, the exact same people who challenged him in the first place, abandoned him entirely. As weeks turned into months, the rejection spread to the public. Strangers on the street literally stopped acknowledging him. The source notes a pretty brutal social reality here. Associating with someone deemed crazy is risky because you might be seen as crazy too. And then came the ultimate devastating blow. His own wife filed for divorce. She actually stood in a court of law and testified that he had lost his mind, explicitly pointing out that he spent all his time talking to plants. His entire social world just collapsed.
Section 3. The Power of Love and Intention. Unbreakable Resolve.
But here's the thing. Despite losing his friends, his reputation, and his marriage, Burbank did not stop. The guy had absolute unbreakable resolve. He refused to let the total destruction of his social life ruin the connection he was desperately trying to build with this plant. In the absolute depths of this isolation, he made a direct, super vulnerable plea to the cactus. "How will I know you are listening to me? Give me a sign. Give me proof." He was begging the plant for a definitive response, a clear, undeniable sign that it recognized his affection and actually understood what he was saying every day. He needed it to show him and the world that his theories were real.
So here is the crucial point, the specific proof he demanded. He asked the cactus to grow just one branch that had absolutely no thorns. Just think about how unscientific and downright impossible this must have seemed to anyone watching him. He was asking a plant whose entire biological makeup relies on sharp thorns for survival to spontaneously produce a single, completely bare, thornless branch just as a sign of connection.
To try and pull off this impossible goal, he stuck to a rigorous routine. First, constant morning and evening conversations. He literally never missed a day. Second, dedicated watering and physical care. Third, deep emotional affection and protection. He poured all of his living energy into the plant. He wasn't just talking at it, he nurtured it, watered it, protected it from harm, all while patiently asking, day after day, for that one biological sign of connection.
Section 4. The Thornless Miracle. America stunned.
The outcome of this incredibly long, lonely, and frankly devastating experiment completely shattered all the botanical expectations and scientific norms of the time. Because through his continuous, unwavering effort, his dedicated care, and his deep affection, the plant actually responded. A branch finally sprouted from that wild desert cactus, and exactly as he had requested, it had absolutely no thorns. The seemingly impossible actually happened. The cactus responded to his daily pleas, his care, and his pure intention, leaving the public and all of America absolutely stunned.
Which leaves us with this final, really provocative question to ponder. If a wild cactus responds to intention, what else in our world is listening? Our source text presents this whole story not just as some bizarre botanical anomaly, but as a profound testament to the immense power of connection. It really challenges us to look at the world differently. I mean, if consistent care, intention, and spoken words can seemingly alter the biology of a highly defensive desert plant, how might our intentions and our words be impacting the people, the environment, and the natural world around us every single day? It's a fascinating perspective on the hidden conversations happening all around us. Thank you for joining me on this explainer, and I highly encourage you to keep questioning the world around you.